Maru and Cure, third place match. What a third place match we end up with. I'm kind of sad because honestly, I kind of wanted to see Maru Trap and I kind of wanted to see Cure versus Solar. And I actually thought it was really, really unlikely that we would get Maru versus Cure here. I thought it was really unlikely because, yeah, I just didn't think we'd get Maru Cure. But TvT is still fun. Maru's going to be in the bottom right, while Cure will be in the upper left of Romanta's side. Maru's just going to start by proxy Raxon. So, let's see what Maru brings to this series, as this is the third place match, remember guys, so there is still a pretty decent prize money difference. I believe about $1,000 if you finish in third place or fourth place. So, pretty serious money on the line still for this best of 5. As we get going in this third place matchup, Maru and Cure. Last time I watched Maru play TvT, or at least casted him playing TvT, he, well, he kind of went a little bit crazy against Bunny, and they played some very long games, and Maru drew out a lot of those games into just very long, kind of stalemate-y setups that he, you know, really favored him in the end. So, let's see how this is gonna go. As I do have the 2 racks proxied up, and there's Cure going to scout. Let's see what Cure wants to do. I mean, no second gas kind of means he wants to expand right away. He's yawning. Oh, no. Yawning, 1 gas expansion. It's not looking good for Cure, guys, I gotta say. I don't want to be the negative guy right off the bat, but it's all looking down for Cure. The good news is that SCV is going to find out there's no, there's no barracks at home before he places the CC on the low ground. And CQ is actually floating money right now because he has to pull that SCV back from the natural and up into the main base. And instead of building the CC, you're going to spend that money on the bunkers. And that's exactly what we start to see right here. So, getting that money spent up on the bunkers at the moment. And his first Reaper is going to pop. Maru is going to probably have to attack with this first Reaper. Sitting back and waiting with the first Reaper doesn't really make a lot of sense. When you've been scouted, you generally prefer to go forward and start trying to deal some damage and start trying to slow your opponent down. Because they're going to be preparing for you, right? That's going to be seeing our extra Reapers coming through, and 2 Reapers going to hop up. Nope. Going to get turned away. Yeah, I mean, bunker up, and we'll see what Maru does next as he starts his own factory back at home. Obviously, he can keep on building Reapers here pretty comfortably. If that is going to be his plan, I guess. Let's just see what he wants to do. More than anything. Over these next couple moments, as yeah, Rack's going to start floating in. Looking to see a little bit of what's going on as well, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I imagine that we get a setup here where Maru's just going to try and hold map control with those Reapers, but this is definitely good for Cure. The only bad thing for Cure is, because you didn't go factory right away, because it was intended to be a 1-gas expand, is you don't get like a massive army units up faster than Maru, so you can't really go across the map and be like, oh ho, I'm going to punish you for kind of committing to a 2-Rax Reaper and not getting anything done with it. So you lose that punishing potential, but his CC is faster than what it usually would be as well, because it still had a lot more minerals than usual, etc. So altogether, I still kind of just like it across the board for both of them, really. I don't think either way it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for either player. I think both of them have great ways to play out of this position. I think we actually get a pretty decent start in this TvT. I'll be intrigued to see where Romanta's side ends up going to, because Romanta's side is that kind of map which can end up in much longer games and very extensive kind of, back and forth actions. You can't break your opponent's bases easily. I love this. These Reapers are finding the only spot they can find, and it is to pick off a depot for free. So, I mean, credit to them. They put in the work to get that done. So Maru going to go for the Magfield Accelerator on the follow-up. Now, his Rax is burning down, so he won't have high ground vision or anything. But if he wants to just stay kind of aggressive here, then it's not a bad way of doing it, right? He's got his third CC now. His natural CC just finished up and building into the orbital. I looked at it, I was like, oh, the CC's building, that must be the third, right? But no, it was still just his natural building. That's just how long it had taken, / my timing of the game being off. SCV's mining on the natural. A few Marines going to hang around up that ramp and just going to be having this command center building in the corner of the main base. So, again, that command center up and rolling. As we do ourselves set up at the moment. Again, Magfield coming through, waiting for that to really be the influence. Maybe a bit of a game changer in this. Now, there was a Banshee made. I believe that was on Cure's side. Sorry, I'm going to be a little bit confused on naming who is doing what, because whenever I say this all the time, but whenever I cast, I like to flip the player names and hence the production tab around so that Maru's on the bottom of the map, he's on the bottom of the production tab, etc., right? But that they don't do that here, so I'm gonna be like a little bit off from my instincts. So forgive me if I'm like, wait, who was that? Hey, well, Q is actually just powering ahead. I mean, he's a little bit more kind of just straight up production, whereas Maru, you could argue, is second factory. He's gonna play Mech. He's invested into Magfield, for example. You could argue that maybe it doesn't matter so much for Maru, but I guess we'll see if he can survive. That's gonna be the main thing. He's gonna put that starport back in the tech lab. And he's obviously playing Mech, right? So Maru happy just to play Mech here, and that means that Q is going to have to play a bit of a longer game, really, against Maru. There's not really an easy, quick way to beat a Mech player unless he can get in, like, right now with this army advantage. Which is possible, right? I mean, you look at what Maru's really working with at the moment, it's not a lot, and there goes one of the Cyclones, so that's going to be already a pretty big kickoff out of Cure. Now, that's already a fantastic start. Now, Reaper goes down 2. Tanks are going to re-siege. And the Reapers and the Cyclones will back away through the center of the map. So, Maru doing everything he can to slow Cure down from advancing across the map. But Cure is still going to be full steam ahead. 20 army supply lead right now. But I didn't think Maru would be this far behind on army. And like I say, I feel like some of that has got to just be the fact that he's building up into the Mech. He's the one that did add production a bit sooner. And that's now starting to kick in. So he will start to play catch-up. And that's why it's important for if Cure wants to really push this issue, he needs to go soon because Maru is getting set up into ways in which he will be able to then defend this attack and in which he will catch up in this game. That's a Matrix on the siege tank for sure. It does get one volley off. Vikings are just going to land as auto turrets have gone down here. The Marine count is obviously decent, but against Hellions, they obviously don't look so hot usually as you got to bring these tanks forward now, Cure. They can't just sit back forever. They got to get involved in this fight if they're going to do something in this. And those tanks are going to move forward, and they're going to be in siege range of Maru's natural. Now, the army supply has now caught up. As you're going to see these extra tanks sieging. One goes down before it fires a shot off. Second one will at least get a volley, but then goes down very soon after. 2 more Vikings showing up here from Cure. Even if he just shoots down the Ravens, the value from that would be amazing. He shoots down one of the 2. I think across the board, guys, we are starting to see a little bit of a Cure lead really developing. 60 to 44 workers. 3rd CC mining in position. Maru's 3rd base just now floating down to that low ground. I was just going to see a couple of SCVs repairing up the Vikings. And, yeah, just going to see the rest of Cure's army continuing out down to the bottom side as well. So bringing this out down to the south. As Reapers and Hellions are going to move in towards this 3rd CC location. I see a bunch of those workers continuing down. A couple of Marauders going to stim. Hellions dropping. The Reaper's probably in some trouble. I mean, this is great for Maru. 10 workers killed. My goodness, just when Maru seems to be dead, he somehow claws his way out of the grave. And he's going to find himself the worker kills to not catch up per se, but I mean, it catches him up to some extent. It's not going to put him right back in this game, but it gives him a fighting chance once more as Cure fighting here. Looks like he might be able to maintain position on Maru's 3rd base, which may just be too difficult for Maru to break. Well, just going to be seeing these tanks continue to fight, but oh, tanks and Maru do get in range in the end. Cure was missing the vision to be able to hit Maru's siege tanks. And Maru is holding on. As Cure going by, I remember Maru playing Mech. It can get to a situation here where Maru gets to like a defense that Cure can't break, and that is Maru essentially caught up. Even though you're behind on workers, etc., if you can just hold being maxed, there is absolutely a world in which Mech can still just win this game, because there gets to be a point where Mech is just super difficult to play around. That is a possibility. It is a possibility as we have these few Hellions coming in, putting some damage in. Just maintain that supply lead all the way throughout this. As you can see, Maru going to be dropped in the main. This is the problem with having been behind early. Stuff like these turrets just aren't quite ready in time, and so while the intention to be able to defend this was there, it just wasn't quite ready before the attack actually struck right in. That's probably going to be the biggest problem of all that Maru will face as this drop comes in. I mean, it looks like it will get cleaned up without, honestly, too many issues. I'm going to see these bio units and these tanks going in and putting some damage in too. Tanks going to get sieged up on this 3rd. Cure is getting a lot of SCV kills. It's costing him a fair amount of army. I mean, right now, this orbital command is straight up just dying, so it's going to have to lift off and go get repaired. Maru has got air control of those Vikings. Cure's going to start building a fusion core against this and say, right, well, I'm going to start matching some of your air production. Oh, these Vikings land, and I actually don't think that's enough to clean this up. That might actually trigger a GG out of Maru, because that cleanup was way more expensive than it was meant to be. He's going to have a look here, and he says, I think I can take on 2 siege tanks. He'll get rid of one very quickly. He'll just pull back from the other. And now he still has this third base under fire. SCVs will be going down. And that is the fight to secure the game, as Cure is going to take game number 1 here against Maru in this third place matchup. Just that Maru went to play Mech. I wonder if that's just because he knew he was kind of a bit behind and Mech was his way back into the game to, you know, give him a best chance of surviving and stuff. I would imagine that is the most likely situation there. As we dive into game number 2. Maru is going to be top right and Cure will be bottom left. Cure leading this best of 5 third place match, 1-0. As you see, Cure going to get proxy raxed again. Or is this just, I mean, the timing of this suggests more like a rax just kind of hidden. No, racks at home and 1 racks on the map. Okay, so it's 2 racks. I was going to say, the timing doesn't make sense for the first racks to be proxied, right? But the second racks is going to be proxied. And we've seen that a little bit. In fact, we even just saw that when we were casting some TvT yesterday in our WardiTV Summer Championship. Where, I mean, this is like not super unheard of either. This is fairly decent, reasonable, common thing to do. And Maru was one of the players that really popularized this style as well. So when we start talking about that, yeah, he really kind of popularized this style, and what basically happens here is that you obviously have a like a 2-rack setup, but your opponent scouts everything looking pretty normal, and it's pretty hard to tell that your opponent's gone 2 racks because you're going to wall off before there's an SCV here. So it's hard to tell what's actually behind that Reaper and that racks on the main base. So you don't know that there's not a, you don't know that there's, something weird going on. You don't know there's a racks on the map, and that can maybe cause you to under-defend sometimes. And that's where the openings really are at. You find that, person under-defending, and then, as Maru, you really try and take advantage with those Reapers early game. And of course, you've got a racks back at home, so it's a little less committed than proxy to your racks Reaper as well, because then you've got your 2 Reapers back at home. Yeah, you've got your racks back at home, so you can start up add-ons, etc. It is just overall a much better position, a much better situation. There you go. As Reapers finish up, this is the thing, right? This time Cure did go kind of, double gas. You have the CC, the CC coming down now a little bit later. It's already a delay from Maru, so that's good. His own CC is going to start taking the lead here. I'm going to put some damage onto this, which is going to force a response from your opponent. 2 SCVs are pulled as the answer. I'm going to out-SCV you. Grenade goes down, has to cancel the command center. Massive cancel that Maru gets out of this. Obviously now we're building Marine and a Hellion. We'll see how Maru fares. We'll see how many Reapers he wants to cut out as well. Looks like now is going to be his final one. How many is that? I imagine 4. Yeah, it looks like 4. So 4 Reapers to fight here can actually still do very well. First Reaper's opponent goes down very quickly. 3 Reapers still left. He first put the first shot onto SCV there. He gets the SCV, so slows down the command center a second time around. Big stuff from Maru again. The longer that CC is delayed for, I mean, look at what he's done. His CC is finished up in the time that it's taken Cure to get his third CC. I don't even want to say started still, because it's not quite there yet. Beautiful usage of the grenade to pop that Hellion to take advantage in that fight for a few moments. Really well handled by Maru here so far, doing everything that he needs to do. And, you don't have to go in and kill a ton of SCVs to take the lead in this. Okay, he's going to be a bit behind on his factory, a bit behind on the starport. It's okay, you can play around that. That's fine. Now these Reapers just go home. They're still going to be alive and kicking. Yeah. Fun little matchup again here is just going to be seeing this Marine chasing down a barracks for a little while. Smack's taking some shots. Starboard. He's going to build a tech lab. Not too surprising, because you're kind of expecting this to be a, a Raven follow-up, right? So, kind of expecting this to go into Ravens from here. 2 Marines are going to continue to tackle on that barracks, so doing some good damage again. A couple of other racks coming in, just going to be seeing our siege tank coming up. Engineering bay on the way through. Just seeing Cure continue to gather together on the natural expansion, so keeping that together. Super Hellion Cyclone starts to move out to the upper side of the map. Maru is going to start a +1 attack upgrade, so we're actually going to get to see him playing some bio this time around. So sometimes Maru, he gets into those stages, right? Even in like the big matches or tournaments where he's like, today I'm just going to play like Mech and TvT. And you're like, oh, you're going to play Mech? And he's like, yeah. And you're like, oh, like, you know, just one map. It's like that meme. It's like, he's like, I'm going to play Mech. It's like, just one map, right? And Maru just looks and you're like, just one map, right? And then he actually just plays it the whole series. Everyone's like, why is he playing Mech? This sucks. But yeah, no, he's actually gonna switch this up and play bio a bit. So, like I said, especially after you like open with like another variation of 2 Racks Reaper, I was like, is this just like 2 Racks Reaper into Mech Day? And I was like, Raven is about to finish up. The siege tank finishing as well as these couple units will rally out down to the low ground. And yeah, combat shield, stim pack, all continuing through at the moment. Everything kind of just as expected here as we continue on. Let's see that Reaper does run into a few units on the high ground, so they are able to deliver a couple of shots, doing a decent job of putting some damage in. As these armies kind of approach each other here, Cure has those couple of Ravens. Maru is way close to having Stimming Combat Shield done, but those are advantages that don't kick in just yet. He's only got 1 Raven to the 2 of Cure. I don't know if Cure can really move in if Maru is sitting so actively on the map and really just waiting for, you know, everything to break out here. Another singular Marine moves forward and gets taken down in an instant as Viking Raven wants to kind of move through as well, wants to try and get on top of this army. Gold Matrix is going down, those tanks going to get locked up, and now we're going to see another little Matrix on one of the siege tanks here as well. We're going to see those Marines starting to come on through this, and we are going to have medevacs join up as well. Honestly, the tanks come out of Matrix a little sooner for Maru, and he takes down 1 tank of his opponent, but otherwise this is still pretty well under control, right? I mean, Cure's going to lose this last tank. I guess Maru really is going to get a pretty big push now, though, but especially just with like +1 done, stim, and combat done instead of just stim. So Maru's going to come across the map, and he's looking deadly. I don't know if Cure's going to be able to stop this or slow this down at all. I actually didn't think Cure was in as much trouble until I've really stopped and looked at the supply and realized, oh wow, that was like everything. And Maru has all the upgrade leads. Uh-oh. Well, making our way down the bottom side, those couple of tanks start a siege. Maru is almost like he's checking for the base on the south side, which is obviously not where it is, so a little bit intrigued by that movement, but he does pull it back around towards the top now instead. This Viking still just providing coverage. That was the Raven that just went down. We're going to fight here. +1 against no +1, and the combat shield difference just is massive on the Marines. SCVs melt, and obviously this is looking as though we are going to have Maru just pushing through the victory. Cure's going to try and just lift the 3rd CC and survive for a while, but yeah, I don't think there's anything here that really tells you should be staying in this game, and Cure seems to agree. GG, and we are tied up 1-1 in our TvT. Well, there we go. Maru's going to be bottom left and Cure bottom right of Blackburn to kickstart this one. Let's see what we get from our 2 Terran players. I saw an SCV move forward, but you never know how far in the game it is just yet, right? So maybe that was just for a depot? Nope. Nope. That is a Proxy Rax SCV. I think I actually did see the SCV of Maru move out to make the depot, but there's actually a proxy Rex SCV on the map from Cure as well. This is going to be game 3 of proxying our buildings from at least one of the players. Cure's turn to turn up the pressure early in the game. One Rax is typically a Marauder. So I would imagine this is going to be a Marauder that comes on through here and gets set up to go. Let's see how that settles down. Let's see what happens. Couple of gases coming in on either side. So Maru at least is not going to one gas expand, so that's already again good news for him, just like it was good news for Cure the second time. But Maru had that one proxy Rex on the map after the 2 Rex total. So yeah, there's just going to be proxy Marauders to defend this. As Maru, you're typically just looking at a bunker and just buying time, making sure those Marauders don't break through, maybe pulling SCVs to keep them back a little bit. You just don't want to let it snowball. Marauder builds are very hard to kill people with. They're very easy to kind of get out of control and get into a good economy with. But the real goal is, you know, to do just that, right? Just get some SCV kills, put some pressure on. You should never really be able to kill a guy just with the Marauder build, because they like SCV pulls alone will clean up the Marauders. It's just how many SCVs do you lose in that SCV pool, and that's where the advantages come from, etc., etc. Once he gets that up. Here's our first Marauder coming through. Reaper taking some damage. It's going to be seeing the second Marauder pop, and obviously you kind of want concussive shells before you really start a fight, because concussive shells is going to be the real kind of start of this, where you can't really back away with units. Maru, ooh, that was a good grenade. That kind of put the Marauder into the base if you lifted the depot. I mean, units trading out, that's a lot of SCV pulls. Maru's quite serious about not letting this Marauder get away. You can realize that he really wants to get the surround on that. The Reaper is going to get the kill, but then he loses the Reaper to the next Marauder. And that's a little bit of a mistake for sure. I mean, now the Marines are coming out in good numbers, though, and I just don't... I mean, at this point, the Marauder count's never going to get high enough to do much, right? Now we're getting his own Cyclone, as is Cure, so they're both going to have Cyclones to work with from this point on. As we look as though we're going to see Cure being the first to expand, he'll go down to the low ground. With the expansion, sorry, first to expand, or have an expansion in position. Maru's already expanding high ground. Just obviously he doesn't have the setup here to really expand low ground or anything. This is brilliant. He's just going to clean up both those Marauders and doesn't lose anything else. So that was just a nice touch. Target fires the high health Marauder with the Cyclone, means the Marines can get the low HP Marauder. That's a good little combination for sure. It's the right way to do it, just it's going to make for the fastest possible cleanup there. Cyclone staying locked on, the Rack's taking some damage. There is the command center of Cure building on the natural expansion as well, so getting that up and rolling. As the Cyclone's still locked on, gonna ping its way through the Racks, and Racks is gonna fall. Why is the barracks into the Maru natural? Well, you send the racks into the natural for high ground vision, so the Marauders can hit up the ramp usually. It's just like a vision thing. Is woohoo! Q and Ellie gets the Cyclone, or the Medevac and Maru, them Cyclones putting in some work. Maru just continues across the map. I think he really is quite happy with how this early game went and how he was able to set up. And he really believes he should be able to get in here and punish Cure a little bit. Two of the Cyclones just out of range over there. Maru's going to lift up his Cyclone. But in lifting up his Cyclone, he does lose the lock onto his opponent's Cyclone as well. So that kind of works for two ways. Cure having those two Cyclones coming in from the other side is really painful, because that's something that's going to be really tough to deal with. Going to start more from the orbital, but Maru just seems to want to deal damage to that orbital. Anyway, Banshee shows up. The tank in the back is going to be in some trouble. Cyclone's like, I want to go and help you there, but then he's going to get locked on. Two SCVs are going to pull in. It's a pretty cute way of cleaning up here from Cure, and it is going to work out for the moment. 6 SCVs of Cure go down. Army supplies come out even. The Banshee was so critical there from Cure. If he doesn't have that Banshee, those tanks I don't think ever really get cleaned up, or at least not easily. Not as cheaply as, he got it for in the end, I guess. Alright, nice way to survive then is you will see our SCV still producing off that orbital, and the Viking of Maru moving over into the natural as well. Tank's about to finish up. I'm going to rally out again. Cloak coming in. Just going to see that command center on the low ground here from Maru as well. It's just getting this set up as a couple Cyclones continue to build. We're going to move through this bottom side of the map, and they're going to go and try get on top of that command center, perhaps. Push through this bottom side. As you can see, the Vikings able to go straight on top of this Banshee. Well, Banshee at least acting as a good scout, right? You get to see these medevacs moving over. Maru scanned ahead to see what he has to deal with. There's another Banshee in his natural now. A Viking already coming back to deal with this. Maru actually just... Oh my god, this is 2 SCVs in siege tanks. I thought this was going to be... Oh, he loses the lock-on. I thought this was going to be Marines and siege tanks. Apparently it's just 2 siege tanks and a couple SCVs to repair. Oh no. Wow, I can't believe he didn't clean up one tank. That first tank should have absolutely died. Maru lost 7 SCVs across the map, so the Banshee did put in work. It got damage done, that's for sure. And Banshee's going to come in from the other side, going to try and put some damage in. The Cyclones get a lock-on, but it's an expensive lock-on. Although they do get themselves some good damage on the Vikings. But the Vikings are still alive, right? And that's kind of maybe the bigger issue is... Ooh, Banshee flirting with death, flying into the scan radius there initially. A tank now out from Cure. I mean, if nothing else, this has slowed Cure down a lot as the SCVs fall. These tanks are finally going to lift up, and we're going to back away from this. Do we have one more scan to clean out this Banshee? Seems like that's a no. Now, the SCVs. I've never seen a 2 SCV 2 tank drop, but it actually really worked out, didn't it? Like, what a weird drop that was so effective for what it was. I'm going to drop in Tank Viking again. I mean, this is Maru playing the most aggressive mech play I've ever seen. He's adding on factories. He's not playing bio. And Cure is straight up just building like a lot of Banshees here. This one does get away, and maybe Maru is missing a scan to get that right now. He'll land the Vikings with some SCVs. The Banshee will put some damage out, but he can afford to lose a couple of Vikings, although he loses a couple very quickly because they are low HP. Now he jumps up, he gets rid of that Banshee again. Tanks are still just progressing forward here, and Cure is just in a chokehold that he's just not breaking out of. One more Viking goes down. The problem is, you're just building Banshees, so you're never really competing with the Viking count. You know, you're never getting your own Viking count up and running to make this any better. Banshee will trade for a siege tank, but still 3 siege tanks over here. One more Banshee will pop out, and I really imagine that's got to be like one of the last Banshees we might see, unless this can really actually save the starports. One tank is going to get lifted. No, just doesn't get lifted in time. There's another scan. There is the Banshee going down. So 2 tanks maintain this position. Can they get rid of the starport and stop Banshee production? Because it's the only thing that's really slowing Maru down at all. Okay, SCVs are pulling in. More Vikings about to show up. But it looks like Maru will just say, right, let's get out of here. We have done enough with this attack. And I don't disagree. You kind of have done enough with this attack. My goodness, what an absolute adventure this has been. This game's just been crazy, right? Like I say, it's just been like hyper-aggressive mech play from Maru, who's now going to go dropping Vikings on top of this siege tank in the natural. He can lift up damaged Vikings, of course, and save them easily. He's now going to go chasing down the Cyclone, for God's sake. I mean, now he's going to lift up. He's going to fight against the Banshee. What is going on? Everything's killing things it shouldn't be killing. Oh my goodness. This is actually like the silliest, like honestly, like the silliest thing. Jeez, let's that's just been a hell of a game. I mean, there's the Vikings land. This is gonna get wrapped up, but just what the hell have we just watched? This entire game was just stupid, right? Like aggro mech. Different to everything else we usually see. Maru Cure, game number 4. And Maru is going to go back to proxy raxing. So, you know, it wouldn't be this series if we didn't. Maru and Cure had a series like this in the past as well, where every game in the best of 5, they proxied each other. I'm pretty sure it was Maru versus Cure. It's like, you must proxy Rex if you want to be in this series. Well, up to the top. You're already building up our first rack. So it's 1 rack on the map. So Maru gonna bring the Marauders this time around, huh? So we've just gone from Maraudering, from Cure doing the Marauders to now Maru doing the Marauders. What a fun little way to switch this up. SCVs producing. Tech Lab starts up from Maru and the Reaper starts up from Cure. Cure is on double gas, sorry, so he is going to be able to go into that factory very early on as well. He should have a similar defense to some extent as his opponent here. As what we saw in the last game. So let's see how that goes. Obviously, Cure knowing something's up, gonna start building that bunker on the high ground. And Maru is actually making a Reaper. I'm surprised by the Reaper. I really believe this would be the Marauders, but going into the Reaper instead. Now, I mean, this is weird because what do you really gain from having like 1 Reaper proxied? You know? You don't really get much from proxying a single Reaper, you know? Reaper comes in, Hellion is there, and I mean, Cure's first Reaper gets taken down. I think Cure here thought, right, if you're proxying Iraqs, you're not going to have a Reaper defensively at home, so I'll just go across the map and deal some damage with my Reaper, but that's not how this played out at all. So now he cancels the bunker. It's still weird, like, Maru's just not going to have the racks to build tech labs or reactors with or anything along those lines. Cyclone gets a lock on. Reaper going to be taking some hits, so Reaper is going to go down. Medevac on the way up here from Cure. The Cyclone still building. Starport going to finish up from Maru in the main base. Going to start up a tech lab. It's just going to get that underway. And just going to be seeing these units of Maru coming back down to the bottom left. This game is like kind of weird just for the fact there was a proxy Reaper, and now this Rack's gonna float in. I suppose I'd suggest Maru will end up trying to play Mech here again. Rain Cyclone putting some damage in. Just gonna be seeing Maru pushed away down to that bottom left-hand side, so Maru's actually gonna have to get defensive here, and he doesn't have a lot of army supply. The Cyclone lock-ons do favor Maru initially, but he loses his, and the lock-ons of Cure really do deliver. I think Maru might just die here, guys. I mean, it's kind of a weird setup where the early game of Maru just didn't make a lot of sense. There's a reason you don't usually proxy 1 Reaper up, and Cure didn't take any damage, and he just said, right, I'm just gonna take advantage of my army. I've had a Rax building Marines properly all this time, and had a little bit of a cleanup initially as well. 8 SCVs killed off is just going to be seeing the extra Marines making their way. The bottom side of the map, I mean, reinforcements are on the way. Maru is down half of the army supply, but with a tank out, at least you're a little bit more defensive, and maybe that means that Maru, or maybe that means that Cure can't break you then, so that maybe gives you a chance there as Maru. It's definitely something to look at. Let's see a Raven on either side. Tanks coming up. CC number 3 on the way from Maru as well. It's gonna have everything up in the natural expansion. Just gonna be seeing a couple of extra racks coming through. Maru alive. You know, he's got the work count there. He's just lacking a bit of army, but as long as he's alive, this game is ongoing. And yeah, going into racks, which honestly, you know, after the start with the racks floating around and stuff, I really thought Mech might be the go-to. Mech on this map, it's alright. It's a large map, so you've got a lot of bases, and that's actually pretty good for the bio players. I actually think bio can take a pretty good stance against Mech on this map. Marine tank will move down to the south. Well, SCV is going to repair up. Tank is going to be healed and just going to be seeing our Ravens. Gonna come forward. I mean, nice save on those tanks, and sieging them allows them to back away from the Cyclones and be a bit more active. Not sure if that was intentional or just a lucky moment for Maru to be moving them. 3 Ravens to the 2. Got the units tab up here. 4 tanks to 3. And Cure has the, Maru has the tech advantage, just Cure has a lot more Marines. The question is, can you make any use of these Marines? Can you use them at all? Do they have upgrades? Ravens of Cure are going to go in the main base. If he uses his Raven energy in the main base, okay, he wants to kill Stim, which he is going to be able to do, but Maru's on such a low Marine count, I'm not sure he cares, and now Maru's just like, well, you don't have your Ravens in this fight, so not only can I take the initial good fight, I'm still going to have Raven energy spare for a secondary fight. And that's why Maru just keeps on chasing this down. He knows this is going to go decently for him. Now we land the Vikings, though. Cure's going to turn around a little bit. Auto turrets will go down, try and buffer just that little bit extra. Ravens are being shot at. If the Vikings could go find the Ravens, that'd be amazing. 2 more auto turrets go down. The Ravens are going to fall from Cure. Maru keeping his Ravens alive. A Cyclone lock-ons on the Viking. Maru going to go running. All he needs to do is just get a couple more units up, and he might be able to stop this attack. There are still 3 siege tanks. He has used a lot of his Raven energy at this stage. The Cyclones will lock onto the tank as well. So the one tank of Maru looks as though it might be broken down. The Viking gonna land. The Ravens just have nothing left in the tank. Oh, good effort from Maru, but it just seems as though it's not going to be enough at the end as you move forward here. And obviously now Q's got the siege on the natural. And while you've got the Ravens to break out of this eventually, you're going to take some damage before then. And that is going to be costly. Looks like Q might be able to bring this to a Game 5 of this series. In the 3rd place match of the NetEase Esports X Tournaments SC2 Masters 2021 Season 1. Again, called Season 1. We might get a Season 2 of this year. There you go. Auto turret goes down. This is the attempted break. Vikings are landing on top of the tanks. They're a little bit out of sync. I guess they were kind of stacked on top of each other, so they went 1 then 2. Q is still going to have units left after that attempted break, and that means this natural expansion is still in trouble, and Maru is still taking damage that he just can't quite afford. A tank on the ramp goes down. Auto turret drops to try and get the final cleanup here. Maybe this will do it. Now a Viking landing. Tank going to unsiege against the Viking. The tank should just win. 2 Vikings in the sky going to take down a Viking as well. Now Marine showing up from Maru, who's got 1-1 by the way. Just doesn't have very many Marines to show for that 1-1 set of upgrades. And Q is still bringing units forward, right? Still looking to duel here, still looking to win this game out with the army supply lead. Well, Vikings are going to land. We haven't seen the production tab this entire time. There's been one complaint of this event. Sometimes the production tab isn't up and little things like that. So we have no idea what's building. I mean, we see what comes out with the unit tab. I don't know who has Stim. I don't know who has Combat Shield on the way. You know, we don't have no idea. Like, I just know now Maru has 1-1 upgrades. We had no idea he was on the way to that. So, you know, Stim is now here from Cure, but he's actually going to get pushed back. And Maru is going to end up holding. But again, look at what Cure has set up behind this. A 25 worker lead. Okay, he's down on upgrades. Army supply, a little lead there for Cure. It's just the workers. Like, the workers should mean that he's able to mass up so much more than Maru ever will at this stage. Let's see if that plays out to be true. Already showing up with another force down here. Now his Marines have combat shield as well. Here come the Ravens, dropping the auto turrets wherever they can, and they're definitely helping the Ravens. He tried to target the Ravens down, but he didn't get them. And again, not having 1-1 on his Marines will definitely be cost him, even if he has a combat shield advantage. I'm going to go dropping over to the, well, past the natural and in toward the main base now. I keep getting urges to click on the screen and put the production tab on, but I can't, guys. It's a clean feed, so I want to see the freaking production tab. We've got no idea what's being built. I mean, you can see on the minimap here going to 4 bases. I mean, you have a general idea. I just wonder, like, 1-1 just finished from Cure. I wonder how far ahead Maru is on 2-2. Oh, we got the upgrade tab now. That's even less useful overall. Maru still doesn't have combat shield. Oh my god, but it's about to finish. What I wanted to know was if Maru was on his way to 2-2, i.e. was he expanding that upgrade lead again? But he was not, and now it's actually going to be Cure who will, on 2-2, take the upgrade lead unless anything changes, because he's already been able to get that started. Dropping the main is something Maru is not prepared for, as Maru does deflect off to the right-hand side. This is going to be seeing our Marine tank continue to fight. How is Maru still alive? I think Cure made this a lot more difficult on himself than it needed to be. Like, Cure really got more aggressive when he should have just, like, waited a bit. Like, there was a point where his aggression was going well, but then he kept rallying units in to Maru's defender's advantage, and it just wasn't working, right? And if he just slowed it down a little bit, this fight is nice for Maru. I don't know if it's going to make so much of a difference still. He's still, well, he does even stuff out a lot. Talk about that in a sec, just let me finish my thoughts here. So, the only issue I have is that, you know, if Cure just stopped rallying some of his Vikings in, singular tanks, etc., he probably could have just made a big follow-up push that would have been influential. But the other reason Maru stayed alive is because his Ravens stayed alive. Remember when he made a big deal about him killing the Ravens of Cure in that first fight on the left side? That was so influential because that gave Maru the ability to use the Raven casts, and that was something that Cure just could not use himself. And that means without Raven, it is hard to break a Terran player as well. So it's a little bit of a combination of Cure maybe being a bit overly aggressive in the position, and just Maru having kept the Ravens alive for so long and for so many abilities. And how many times have auto turrets changed the way that a fight's going? Quite a few. As the Liberator siege up, trying to push the tanks back, Maru is going to be having Cure fight into him. Cure pulling SCVs into this as well, so he's losing a chunk of them. 20 workers go down. Maru still doesn't have much of an army supply coming out of this. I gotta say, Maru being able to turn the tide, or turn the aggression on the Cure's side of the map after everything that's happened is very impressive. He's just not got the army supply now, and now it's 2-2 against 1-1, so the upgrades are massively in Cure's favor. And even with all the workers killed, Maru only has like a 10 worker lead, and even then that's not really kicked in just yet, right? For this army right now, Cure has been mining off of more SCVs. And that's what you're really seeing, the repercussions of the earlier game. As Maru, a good effort at the end to try and make it happen, but it's just not enough, as Cure will take this series, take this map, tying it up 2-2 in the best. Because my YouTube videos from this event have been having a couple of issues, so I've just been trying to not do as much of the outer game stuff, because they play the music, and sometimes the music, if I use too much of it, triggers a DMCA, and sometimes, or copyrights, and then I can't monetize the video. So, yeah. Alright, top right is going to be our red Terran Cure. Bottom left, our blue Terran Maru. Our final map of our third place match in the NetEase Esports X Tournaments 2021 SC2 Masters. You guys think if nothing else, Maru wins the background award, right? And Maru has, you know, just a few GSL trophies, Star League, etc. You know, cute little, like, a single toy, an Among Us toy or something. Meanwhile, Kira's like, I have a Hoover, maybe? I don't know what that is in the background, actually. It's not quite the same, is it? Wardy, how can you monetize SCG videos on YouTube? Is it allowed by Blizzard? Of course it is. You think you think all these content creators are making StarCraft 2 content on YouTube and we just can't make money off it? Why would Blizzard block that? It's a vacuum. It is a Hoover. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, it's a vacuum thing. We call it a Hoover in UK. Is that a UK thing? Yeah. It's like, Maru's got all these championships, and Cure's like, well, gotta clean up my room after this one. gotta make some nice clean space for my 3rd place medal, maybe. It is just the one thing Cure doesn't have, like a major kind of win. He came so close in that GSL. Just, yeah, it's kind of surprising sometimes when you're like, wait, Cure doesn't have like a major victory. And you're like, well, you go back through his history, and it's just like there's not a single gold medal in his cabinet. Like, there's not a single trophy. Like a GSL 2nd place, the King of Battle 2nd place, season finals, top 4. But how good Cure is, offline events and the main big championships, they just don't click with him. Wardy isn't just doing this for fun. No, guys, I do try and, you know, sometimes try and make money off of what I do full-time for a living. I know that's shocking to some, but it is a thing. He was the best player who's never won a Premier tournament. Actually, I could get behind that. I could agree with that. Like, he really... I know, like, a lot of the discussion is, you know, he's online, he's really good, and he's just a bit, you know, a different player offline, and I have to agree with that. Like, it is just a thing. But, yeah, no, I'm kind of weird. I'm surprised he hasn't even got, like, a major online event victory, you know? Like, Cure's the kind of guy to me that would, like, pop off in a TSL, or, like, you know, a tournament like this, I suppose. Hey, maybe TSL this week I'll do it. Maybe this weekend is Cure's time. Oh, that is not a close place. Oh, no! The Reapers just die. Well, Cure's a little bit out of position. Sorry, we're talking about trophies, and Maru's like, I'm going to take this 3rd place medal as kills his reactor in the main. He's going for the tech lab now. Atoms are such an annoying thing to lose as Cure goes aggressive with the Marauders across the map. He will not get the Cyclone! How many times now in this series has Cure just left a unit alive by like a little bit of HP that could have made his life so much easier? Now that Cyclone is fully repaired, and it's going to take a few more shots. It's going to get away again, though. Now it's going to go down. Feels like Maru gave up on it as Micro and elsewhere. A tank out means that Maru is going to defend. And how is the defense going on the other side of the map? Well, Cure does push it back, but Maru still has the unit, so you can still keep on being aggressive with those. AKA, it ain't looking too pretty for our boy Cure, as Maru takes a bit of a lead right now in this 5th game. Banshee is going to come through, but obviously Tank just on sieges and lifts away. Isn't going to be in too much trouble at all at the end. Is going to be just fine. Marines unloading the Banshee, and some damage out. Marines are going to pull back a little bit. Just going to heal up the Marines slightly. Just going to scan up onto the natural, and just going to go forward as a couple of tanks are going to siege. Banshee from the right-hand side shows up, and Tank taking some hits. Let's see, one of the tanks will go down here. He gets the Banshee, though, so it's a tank for Banshee, which I don't think you mind, because how annoying the Banshee is to just get rid of it straight away is really convenient. So now he's got his own Banshee. Gonna get rid of that tank as the auto turret comes down to help push the front. Marines gotta go run, and the problem is they're up against Hellions, so if there's ever something to have against Marines, Hellions kind of is it. Well, Maru isn't really pushing through or breaking through or anything, right? But I don't mind the pressure he's applying, right? I feel like the pressure's keeping him in a good place. It's damage he can afford to get done. Yeah, I like it, actually. I mean, he's going to jump up in the main. He's just keeping Cure really busy. And as Cure gets busy, Cure, I gotta say, has got a much faster 3rd CC than Maru, so that's something to watch out for in this. Cure is so much faster on that 3rd. Definitely makes a bit of a difference. Army of Maru still settled down in the center, just waiting for a continuation. Gonna bring a tank forward again. A couple of Ravens settling down. Marines are gonna hop up into this main base. And we are gonna have a siege on top of this Rax initially. So that Rax taking some damage. And auto turret goes down. Maru's just like, yep, not fighting that. Now Cure can fight from the high ground though, and he is gonna push Maru back that a little bit further. Maru would just like to delay this third from landing a little bit just to take the advantage fully in his own hands on the third time, and I think he can do that. That's the benefit of having been aggressive all game long. You can basically keep this position and keep that going. There's a few units moving back around, and just going to be seeing a Marine tank Raven still joined up as well, trying to figure out what it wants to do. Again, Stimpack and combat shields on the way from Cure is kind of look at the ramp. Going to drop some auto turrets in, and you are going to be seeing the auto turrets coming down from Cure. So, the auto turrets coming in right there. Just going to be seeing the Vikings push back as well. The Orbital Command moving through the top side as well, looking to try and land onto the third base. Tank's going to come forward here. This is going to be Cure really attempting to break out. One or two more auto turrets still from Maru. And what the auto turrets do is just amazing, right? They really soak up just so much of that damage. They just slow this push down the ramp so heavily. Finally, Cure breaks out. Finally, the third base can mine. Look at all the scans he has. I think he's just waiting to drop mules en masse on the third base. Didn't want to do it on the main or natural. Wanted to use it on the third. Don't want to mine the main and natural out too quickly. Surely he's not keeping all of that energy for scans, right? No way. There we go. There we go. There's the mule farm, guys. There we go. I was going to say, there's no way. Yeah, usually you want to use them on the third base because you just want to keep the main and natural mining longer. So the third base then, you know, has a bit more mine on it because of the mules. And it just allows you, just makes things work out a little bit. Marine tank coming through, a few Vikings just going to go firing back and forth a little bit here. Let's see, Maru trying to work his way up around the top sides. Wants to come in from the 12 o'clock maybe. One tank high ground, just going to be seeing the Vikings continuing through. Marine's going to stem on forward. We do have a bit of back and forth right there. Just going to be seeing the other couple tanks behind. Just going to be push through too. Let's see what happens as our tanks of Cure. I'm going to hold this position. The air control is massive though, right? I mean, I'm kind of honestly, I feel like at this point you could even, as Maru, maybe even justify a I feel like you'd even justify maybe going into like a Liberator or two. Because Cure is not even trying to match the air control. I don't mind seeing a couple medevacs though, because this army does need some healing, right? If you're going to start stimming, etc., and getting into skirmishes, medevacs do go a long way to helping you stay alive in those scenarios. Marines some through. A couple of Marines on the left side go down. Tanks are going to fire up and do a pretty decent job of it. Uh-oh. Okay, that was just a that was just a a little lag on the clean feed. I was almost like, no, my internet. As long as the stream didn't go down or anything, I just had to double check quickly, guys. Sorry, my heart just skipped a beat. Gonna take a moment to recover. All right, Maru is continuing to work around that left side. Couple tanks and Marines around this bottom side too. Trying to figure this all out. Trying to just break on in. The thing is, Maru definitely has the setup to break in, right? I think that's what's really powerful about his setup right now is that he has the chance to really make a difference in these fights. He just needs to find a way to actually take the fights. He gets a big Raven there. That's had full energy on it. Didn't cast a thing. One anti-armor missile, and that was it. Obviously, he then just disengaged from that. Vikings looking to fight each other. We're going to be seeing the Vikings of Cure looking to kind of fight too. Matrix is going down. This is what Maru's been looking for. He has got the support of his own tanks in this fight as well, so I think he should win this out, even if just about. Gets rid of a couple of the tanks, and yes, Maru is going to win that out. Cure loses the tank on the low ground as well. The Ravens, it made the difference, and that's why Maru was hunting all this time, because he's had 2 Ravens versus 1 in that air control. So he's had the ability to look for that fight, really try and find it. Cure going to type out GG in a bit of an unexciting way. He even had 2-2 a little faster. I don't think it was for the fight, though. Maru is going to finish in 3rd place of the next 2021 Masters.